And 3, 2, 1. Will, we're live. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Big year. Congratulations to start off with. At the start of the year, surely, what were you thinking? Did you think you could take it this far?
Oh, not particularly. I don't think, I just standard year, just go out there, have some fun racing my bike and see how it goes. And then, the first few months of it, it'll spiral pretty quick, and I had a pretty good start.
Yeah, a great start. So
you could say that.
Tell us, when did you make your NRS debut?
Ooh, my debut, probably, what year is it, 2019? It's probably 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
So the distance between then and winning the Grafton to Inverell has got to be significantly shorter than most of the people who've won that.
Yeah, I think the first couple of years I really, I wasn't a big man on the NRS team rosters or whatever. I was just there, sort of a bit of pack fill, getting okay results, helping out the team when I could. But yeah, and then it's sort of just this year, I've joined Oliver's, and then just from there it's been pretty quick.
Just flourished.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that the situation can really change your results as well. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year for you. The boy from Greenthorpe takes out the Grafton to Inverell. For those of you who've just tuned in, I've got William Hodges here, winner of the Grafton to Inverell 2019 for Oliver's Real Food Racing. I guess you could say professional road cyclist,
Well,
part-time uni student.
well, part-time's pretty accurate there. Not
That's
too often.
It's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Trying to keep everything in check. Keep funds coming in, uni degree going along, and to fit in with gym and recovery, it'd be close to 30 hours a week maintenance for your training, surely.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're doing 20 hours a week on the bike, and then a few hours a week in the gym, then you're stretching, your foam rolling, your Rico, all that sort of stuff. And then as well as uni, I'd sort of do a mix of online and in-class stuff when I can, so I can be pretty flexible with timing and stuff, so I can, work at night or do my studies then, catch up and whatever. So that's pretty good, that side of it. But yeah, it definitely adds an extra stress, and like you've got to sort of schedule your life pretty well to make it all work out.
And you're through Charles Sturt University. How do you find the online distance setup there? Is it Can you imagine yourself getting through the degree if you were 100% internally? Like, would you think that would affect your cycling results? Like, has it enabled you to train the way that you'd like to?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think when I have to be internal, and obviously there are some classes when I have pracs and whatever, like it does limit when you can be away racing, because you got to be in class once or twice a week on these days every time. Can't miss classes. So being internal, it has its perks, but for training and racing, you definitely online really helps. When you're away for racing, you can still keep up with uni. Training schedule, sort of, you can work around uni as well. So it's definitely a huge part of it.
I guess the online stuff's amazing that you can access that. Sort of gives you so many more opportunities to stay in touch with your classmates and just keep up to date with class.
Yeah, I can be away overseas in Asia racing, and I can tune in, join the class, do that. I can be training in Spain or whatever, anywhere in the world, anytime. I can keep up to date with my uni.
Yeah, amazing. So let's take it back before we go any further. Let's take it back to the HSC, right, which you finished 2015?
2015, that's a while ago.
So during that time, I know that you were doing a fair bit of schoolwork, and cycling probably wasn't at the top of your list at that time.
Yeah, definitely. It was, I was at school, and I was at boarding school here, so cycling was just a fun part, a bit of racing around it and stuff, but it was definitely predominantly just a fun sporting part for me. So,
bit of weekend fun.
Yeah, weekend fun, bit of training, bit of fun, just mucking around.
So I know that when you were younger, you could definitely see cycling as a future that you'd like to follow, but obviously you got to get through school and figure out if you're going to uni, and you just don't know what you're doing at that age.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to really like commit to a sport when I'd never really had that much experience as a junior or whatever, so it's hard to commit properly to a sport when you're that young. So
absolutely.
Kept going to school, got into uni and all that, and then started picking up the training after that.
Could you imagine yourself where you are now?
Probably not. I thought back then I was sort of, you'd watch Grafton Inverell highlights or look at the result sheet, and everyone that was in the top 10 or 20 or even finishing that race was someone that I was like, wow, that's
someone
impressive
you knew
to
the
finish.
name of.
Yeah. I was like, they're a good rider. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Sort of person. Then to be even finishing the race, I thought was a huge thing. So
yeah, definitely.
Pretty different.
It is. And that's the thing. People train for a year, sometimes have multiple attempts to finish that race.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish my first two.
People have that as their highest achievement. I finished the Grafton to Inverell in 200th position, and that credit to them. It's an incredibly hard race, the hardest race in Australia, one of the hardest one-day races in the world, surely.
Yeah, well, it just 230k, so much climbing, the conditions, everything. The best riders in the country are there. You have like your Sunderlands, your Marcus Cooley's, Nick White's, everyone's there. So, and
it's what the major climb is in the first 100 kilometers.
Yeah, I think it starts at about K70 and it's 17 Ks long, so quite a big old climb.
Yeah, that is a very...
It felt quite long to this year.
It's race changing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's been years when the hill definitely hasn't sort of defined the race, and it gives you a bit of an opportunity to get back after that, but the level of fatigue that you must take over the rest, like 180 kilometers to go. Or something.
Yeah, I think this year I went over just off the back of the sort of front group, and even then, like we came back to the front, but it's still a 17k climb, and you've just got to be going so deep to get over and near the front of the race, which obviously then translates into how you're feeling for the rest of the day. Yeah,
and in terms of a 230k race, 70 kilometers is just the beginning.
Yeah, early days. Like it's sort of what's happening at K70 is not doesn't have that much of an effect really on exactly, like you can see who's strong, what's happening, how you're feeling, but the situation at K7 is rarely the situation at K200.
So before the Grafton, it was 4th in the Melbourne to Warrnambool.
Yeah. Yep.
How do the races compare? I know distance-wise they're not too far apart, but profile, very, very different race.
Yeah, completely different. Like the Warnie's dead flat pretty much. And yeah, I think they were both 6.5 hour-ish races this year. But this year was, I think at the Warnie, it's just who got in the break this year. Every team had a person that they thought could go well in the finish. So the break ended up getting a big gap and hanging on for the win. So yeah, and the conditions this year were perfectly fine, which I think normally the conditions at the Warnie are what defines the race, whereas at the Grafton, the course defines the race. So
what is it about these monolith races that suit you so much? Like you'd probably feel a lot more natural on the Grafton course than the Warnie course.
Definitely.
But is it just the pure time on the bike that suits you because it's such a long race? Do you think that's how you're able to have such a great result in that, like before you had obviously the confidence of winning the Grafton?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always been pretty good at being strong towards the end of a race, and then yeah, it turns out that I found out really this year that I can do pretty much my best power numbers and all that sort of stuff at 6 hours in. So, which for me is important because I don't have the biggest outright numbers. So in an hour crit, I'm not usually the strongest or the best guy there. So to be able to do pretty much what I can do there, 6 hours into a race is really where it helps. And then those races obviously suit that sort of rider.
And you can sign, like as the field whittles down, you could find yourself as one of the quickest sprinters in the bunch.
Yeah.
Because there's no sprinters left at 6 hours.
Left, so.
And if those who can sprint, your numbers are right up there. If you can hold can hold what you've got after 6 hours, there's not many people who can do that.
Yeah, it's a pretty like a different race to anything else on the calendar. So yeah, that's sort of where I fit in as a rider, and it works well for me.
So has this been your favourite season yet with Oliver's?
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely loved just everything about it, like on the bike, off the bike, a good bunch of teammates. It's been fun. We've got the results as a team and individually, and sort of it's snowballed. So we started the year well. I think Jesse Featonby getting 2nd overall at the New Zealand Cycle Classic with a stage win there, and then we just pretty much from there, it's just got bigger and better the whole time.
Yeah, it's from the outside looking in, it just looks like such a well set up team. They do their media well. It's just everything's clean and just looks like a great bunch of guys who have a bit of fun with it as well. And
exactly.
And that really comes through on their social media as well, that the riders are genuinely there because they enjoy it. They're sort of not on the end of their...
Yeah.
I think there's a few people out there who sort of just wake up and do it, like it's a bit of a job, a bit of a task, but no one at Oliver seems to have that sort of vibe, they feel privileged to be there.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of that's down to Sam Lazell, who runs it and organises everything. So at the start of the year, we're organised, we have everything done, we know what's happening, we've got a good bunch of guys that he's got together, and it just... that sort of the team culture from there, just it grows. Like it starts really well. We start well at nationals and it keeps getting better, and we grow as friends on and off the bike. And then that helps. Obviously, everyone in the team is prepared to go 100% in for everyone else when it matters, and even if it's not for their own personal glory, which is pretty important.
Yeah, and I think like what you were saying, that a lot of it comes down to Sam. I think it really helps that there's not so much a leader, but there's an individual who really backs the team. It's Sam's passion.
Yeah, he's committed to making it as good as it can be.
Yeah, it's not like a corporate management board where you kind of lose, it's about the money coming in, money going out, what are the numbers, who's doing this and that. Sam picks the riders who are passionate about it like he is, and in the end, that's what you want when you're taking guys away to races. The guys who want it the most, they're the ones who'll get there in the end.
Yeah, like Sam doesn't want us going to him paying and the team paying for us to go race in Asia and thousands of dollars spent on us, and we just go over and just think, oh, it's a free holiday, get over there,
And I can imagine that it's not anything like a holiday.
No, not at all. Like, you're going out doing 5 hours in the 40-degree heat and humidity, and it's pretty hard out there. So you got to commit fully to be at that level and be competitive there.
Yeah, you're not really seeing much apart from the road and the motel room.
Yeah,
it's just the nature of elite sport, I think.
You get that. Like
a lot of people end up traveling post-retirement, and
Oh, definitely.
going back to the same places to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Where, all the things they missed.
Definitely a few places where you notice a few things around and you're like, geez, I could actually come spend some time here and see what it's about. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you
cool.
do get to see some sights.
Yeah, you get to see stuff. You just never
really get to experience it. Yeah.
You just see it, go straight through, and you're done.
Have you had any overseas highlights this year?
Not particularly.
Was it Malaysia, your most recent
I was in
one?
Malaysia.
That would have been
Tour
an
Peninsula.
experience.
Yeah, 2.1. First time really racing in Asia. So
yeah,
that was big. It was completely different just because, it's so hot and humid and there's nothing I could really prepare for.
How did you go with the food there?
The food was okay. I think much more than a week and I would have been a bit sick of it and
ready to come home.
But you can deal with it when you're there for
it's a lot of carbs, isn't it, in Asia?
Yeah,
like a lot of the things that are safer to eat is like noodles.
Anything that doesn't have fresh water on it. So none of the salads.
You can't have washed
rice,
salad and you can't really get into the meat very much. So
some of it's a bit
it's kind
skeptical.
of like it's kind of cooked vegetables and carbs.
Pretty much
is what I found when I was in China, is that a lot of the people who travel to Asia a lot say you're more likely to get sick from the salads that have been washed, because the water is what will get you. If the water's probably fine for them to drink, but it's our unaccustomed stomachs to those bacteria and stuff that are overseas. You have that water and you're done.
it's pretty interesting. Like you go there and it's not hard, like you get used to it or whatever, but it is just an added stress because you go over and you're thinking just everything, like brushing your teeth. You don't run your toothbrush under the water, just finding water when you're at the hotel after the race, and it's been so hot you just think about filling up and it's just hard to,
and you feel like an absolute princess washing your teeth with a bottle of water. It's the weirdest
feeling. You just
feeling.
go through so much bottled water, but there's no other way to do it.
It's just not worth getting sick for.
Such a risk.
It's so easy. And it's crazy, and you just as a full-time athlete, you're really conscious of what goes into your body, and I know you are someone who really eats well, is conscious of a natural diet, and when you go away and your diet is out of your control, it's not a nice feeling all the time. Not being in control of what you can and can't have. So in Malaysia, was it buffet set up from the UCI? Did you guys go out and try and find any places outside of that, or?
Not particularly. We stuck to what we knew, really. So it was just, buffet with rice and pasta and some sort of plain meats and veggie stews or whatever.
Did you find any coffee over there?
Oh, you got the black, whatever, the percolator coffee. It tastes like burnt rocket fuel. But
not going to run the gauntlet with the milk.
Oh, no. Didn't find really any good coffees, but I'm sure there are, just not in the vicinity of the race.
There's always a beautiful cafe tucked away just where you didn't walk.
Yeah, exactly.
What's next?
Nationals for me, and then I'm not sure exactly of what the summer schedule for me is. I know that as a team, we're going to New Zealand Cycle Classic just after Nationals. We've got Sun Tour, the Melbourne to Warrnambool again.
Yep.
So there is a pretty big summer race schedule, and I'm not sure exactly where I'll slot into that. Obviously, depending on form with Nationals and everything. So
obviously, Nationals is kind of the first showdown for most teams with their new riders. A lot of people there's not that much to do over the summer. Sun Tour and Nationals are kind of something a lot of people set their goals towards, have a bit of a break after the regular season and get ready for Nationals, which is a great place to test yourself. Do you think getting a result in Nationals and the Warnie can really set you up for a great season, or can it make for a really long season?
I think it can definitely do both. It depends. You just got to be smart about how you play it. So you don't want to really be like, I've just come out of Tassie and Bright, and then a training block before that with the Malaysian races and stuff. So it's been probably, I don't know how now, 8-10 weeks of training and racing for me now after a break during August. I think had a few weeks off the bike. So it's sort of, if you're going through all the way to Warnie which is late Feb, full gas training, racing, all that, you can, if you don't plan it right and have your Rico weeks or your easy days and really look after yourself, it can definitely burn you out by February, which is not ideal at all. So if you play it right, it can definitely be a Kickstarter.
There's a bit of a gap, isn't there, between so there's that section of the season, National, Sun Tour, etc. Then it goes into NRS closer to April
I think
stuff?
When is it? So Melbourne to Warnie's Feb 16th or around that. I think Oceania's titles this year are around mid-March. But again, it's sort of, you're racing Nationals in January, Warnie and Sun Tour in February. Oshie's in March.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anything on April-wise. Maybe
Yeah.
the Brisbane Cycle Classic.
Yeah, so it's
whatever
less
that is.
tours and
Yeah.
more title races
Yeah,
and
exactly.
championships.
But
and
it's still sort of, it's a weird bit of a start to the year with one biggish race every month. So it's hard to really have a proper break and reset for the season. You sort of got to be just pushing through if you want to be good for all of them.
the brutal Australian summer.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it's less smoky by the time that comes around. It's been horrible at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Today you couldn't see more than 200 meters ahead of you. So it's not great for training, or like being out there is just not healthy.
So would you say you started your full-time cycling career in Canberra? Or were you full-time before you went there?
Yeah, I'd say probably Canberra. I was training pretty well before that, but I think when I went to Canberra after I left school for the year or two, I was definitely started to knuckle down a bit. But at the same time, I wasn't really sure how I'd go and all the training stuff. So, and I was just writing a bit on my own.
Yeah,
that
doing
sort
a
of
bit
thing,
of
so
regular human
yeah,
uni and stuff.
exactly. Trying to be social.
Were you full-time at that point? At uni?
I was.
Yeah.
So I was,
So you've had a
trying to
feeling for what
fit into a
full-time
new
uni is
city,
like.
go to uni, meet new people, like just be a normal human. Yeah. So I was training, but I wasn't really training hard or anything. So I think when I really, well, you say professional, I suppose, like became more professional about how I trained and ate and all that sort of stuff, really in the last few years since I started racing NRS more.
Yeah.
And it's obviously worked out a bit better this year.
And the move to Bathurst, obviously you spent a lot of time growing up here.
Yep.
Between the Central West towns, started in Greenthorpe, based in Cowra and Young, rode for Cootamundra.
Yeah.
Now
bit of everything around
Bathurst
there.
Cycling Club member.
Yeah.
Bathurst kind of feels like home to you because
Yeah.
with school you spent a fair bit of time here.
Yeah, so being from the Central West, obviously any sport, like when I was younger, I was playing soccer and cricket and like representative soccer because you just have one team from each town. So I was playing in Bathurst one week, then Orange, and then Dubbo, Cowra, Young, everywhere. So you sort of get to know a bit. The region is more of a home than just the one location exactly. And then, coming to school here for a couple of years towards the end of my HSC and getting to know people through that. Coming back here was always something I did like. Like, when I left school, I didn't realize I would come back. I was sort of, because you're in school, you're never really in the town as much and stuff, so you don't know what it's exactly like. And then I was sort of happy trying to move Canberra, see that went. And then I realized how good Bathurst actually is for everything, so came back.
You go away and sort of appreciate.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you find Bathurst as a training ground at the moment for your season that you've just had?
I think I haven't done everywhere. I've been a lot of places training in Australia, and I'd definitely say it's probably my favourite in all of Australia. Like, you got Bright, which is pretty amazing, Adelaide as well, but just Bathurst being such a small town, there's hardly any traffic, good roads, rolling, few hills, just got everything you need.
Yeah.
Perfect weather usually. So
when it's not smoky.
When it's not smoky.
It's
everywhere.
sunny every day except for when it's smoky.
Yeah, exactly.
It's rained twice in the last year.
Yeah, which is not ideal for the country, but for training, it's perfect.
Cycling. Yeah, exactly. So gearing up for nationals, how's your preparation going at the moment?
I think it's going pretty well. I'm feeling pretty strong and pretty solid on the bike. So to go away and then race, I've did 7 race days in the last 9 or something in Brighton, Tassie. So that's really, I think, sharpened me up a bit now, and I'll get a bit of that race form and then back to another training block now before nationals in early Jan. So I think it's looking pretty good, hopefully.
Let's unpack Tassie. How did you find your experience down there?
It was pretty hard, actually. I've never been race tour of Tassie, and then went down this year, and it's just, there was obviously the battle between Bridgelane and Inform for the NRS title, and obviously that meant Bridgelane and they both bought their A team, so
yep,
pretty packed roster.
It was an Inform tour.
You could say that, yep. Yeah, so good start list, and then they're shortish stages, and it was a pretty terrible week of weather, just cold and windy, so every single day you went out, and within the first 5Ks, it was in the gutter, lined out, super hard, and just the road sort of, we zigzagged a bit, like left, right, it's pretty straight. So you're in full crossy for 5K, split everywhere down the road, and then it would regroup a bit, split, regroup. So it's pretty stressful trying to position all the time with our GC guys like Seb Presley, Angus Lyons, and then because it's all hilly, so there were no stages particularly suited just for me. So I was there to help the boys get results for themselves, and we got 10th on GC, a KOM jersey, some top 10, top 5 results on the stages. So we had a pretty good tour, considering we went down there without huge expectations, just to have a crack, race well, and show ourselves well, and we did that. So it was good, but just a hard tour.
And tell us a little bit about Bright. The climbs down there are pretty insane.
Yeah.
For most people in Australia that haven't travelled overseas too much, there's not really too much around that compares to Bright. Like,
no, not at all.
If you can imagine like the Canadian slopes or something in the US or ski resorts overseas and stuff, that's what Bright looks like. You're in there, and these climbs are an effort to drive up. They take an hour to drive over some of these 40 kilometer climbs. Just turning back on yourself, and they're racing over these hills, and it is really a great training ground.
Oh, it is amazing to be down there. Like, I think so there's a time trial and then a hilly 130k road stage where we went over 1 10-minute climb, and then through a couple valleys, up another half-hour climb, and then finishing on another 20-minute climb. So it's one of the only places in Australia you'll get to race on that sort of terrain, even ride on that terrain at all. So, and
they can be really picky about what hills they want to take you over.
Oh,
you can sort of design a course however you want it to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the full length of the hill. They've got some, they've got these brutally long climbs, but they also have ones that
they can
fit well into
make
regular
a race
road
really
stages.
Go well. So, I think you go halfway up Falls Creek on stage 2 and then back down and up to Wonga, which it sort of keeps it together enough that it is a small group at the bottom usually of Toowoomba, which can then explode the race and make it more interesting rather than just having a few individuals at the top of falls.
And the temperature difference in places like Bright is crazy between, the bottom of the climb could be a nice 25 degrees, and you could get up there and need your jacket and leg warmers. It's snowing at the top.
This year was crazy, I think this year I saw the forecast for the top, so I was prepared, but at the bottom of stage 3, right into the base of Mount Buffalo, I would have happily just run a jersey and Nick's, just normal race stuff. So, and then we rode in there, hit the bottom of the climb, we rode it hard, and then to the last 10k of the climb, it was snowing. It was sub-zero temperatures, blizzard-like conditions. It's just insanely cold.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
to think if you weren't racing up a hill, that would be so cold. But
and like for some people, they were racing up to the top for the win, but me and Finton Conway, my teammate, we'd done a job at the bottom of the climb. So we went as hard as we could for the bottom part, swung off, and then we're just tapping up to get to the top because we had Tassie coming up. So we weren't going particularly hard.
So you're kind of feeling the effects of the cold.
It was so cold. It was probably one of the most cold moments I've ever had in my life. So
finishing it off in the snow.
In the snow. It was cool for a while, sort of a bit of a novelty. And then once the actual cold wore in, it was pretty keen to get out of there.
Olympian track cyclist Sam Welsford's just joined the chat. He says, yo.
So, hey, mate.
Massive shout out to you, Sam, and also Alexi. Bonjour to you as well. Frenchman I used to work with. Thanks for joining us, guys. Got Will Hodges here, winner of the 2019 Grafton to Inverell. Are you enjoying your time on the podcast?
Yeah, it's good. I've never done anything like this, so it's pretty interesting. It's different to anything I've done.
It's definitely a learning experience for me as well. This is my first time streaming it live. I come from radio, so I know how to talk, but this is a new setup for me.
I'm not particularly usually good at, so.
Oh, no, you're doing great. We've been going for almost half an hour already, so.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's been
wearing
good.
Me out.
Spinning a yarn. So what do you have on between now and Christmas? I know it's a bit of a pain for cyclists trying to navigate that period because you want to have some regular time with your family and friends, and you want to eat and you want to catch up with everyone and have a couple of days off, but also you're going into nationals.
It's a weird timing for that. So
how important is it to let your hair down every now and then and just feel like a normal person? I mean, not that you're not a normal person, but do you get what I mean? To feel like someone
I completely understand. So
who's not putting their body on the line every day.
I think for me this year, I've been a lot better at that and having rest and enjoying things more. Like I used to be pretty strict about my diet and stuff, and now I'll enjoy a beer or some chocolate or whatever occasionally. So, and I think for your head, that really makes a difference. There's no point just going out smashing yourself day after day, eating salads and chicken and whatever, just like plain stuff, whatever you think's good. But like, there's no point doing that because it's sustainable for a little bit, but you can definitely get to a point where it's just you'll crack. You won't want to train. You'll have 10 days off the bike and just eat shit for a while. And it'll just, so I think,
You're kind of better off putting that energy into training. And
yeah, exactly. I think you're better off being a little bit more relaxed, enjoying it more, and mentally want to actually go out and train every day rather than being like, oh, I got to do this. I've got these efforts today. Got to get them done. You go out and you're like, oh, I just want to ride my bike. I'll get my efforts done and just enjoy it more.
Something I've noticed coming up a lot at the coffee shop and the local gym is the whoop bands, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's become a massive trend at the moment to talk sleep patterns and recovery. Obviously, recovery's always been a big part of cycling and sport in general. I don't think regular people who go to office jobs and stuff also realize how important recovery is for their mental capacity, but it's becoming definitely something that's more trendy to talk about. I know you've been on the Whoop Band for a few weeks now.
I've had it. I think it's probably been a few weeks. So,
how are you liking it?
It's pretty interesting, actually. There's a lot of stuff, especially with the heart rate variability and your sleep patterns, that I never really understood that well until I got this and could have a look at sort of really what was going on. And it does make you a lot more aware of how your body recovers day to day, how ready you are to train, how well you'll adapt to that training once you do it. Because you can be like pretty tired, go out, train, and your body might not adapt as well. Or if you don't, and especially sleep, I think, is probably the big thing for that. I've found, like, I never realized how much I actually did or didn't get sleep, and it tells you all your deep sleep and all those sort of sleep stages, which, really interesting. Like, I think there's some nights where, and you can fine tune it. So I'll go to have a coffee at 3 or 4 in the Arvo or whatever, and that night my sleep will just be really light. I won't get quality sleep, and then I won't recover as well. So,
did you shape up to what you were kind of expecting? Like, did you when you got your results, is that what you thought you'd be getting, or?
Yes and no. I think there's days where I think I'll be a lot more tired. Like, I'll do training and everything, and I think my body will be a lot more tired than it is. Or there's also days where just outside stresses have played a lot more of a role than I thought. Like, I'll be mid-training, but I might have to go, sort something in the house, fix something up, pick a washing machine up. Like today, spent my day sorting out that. And like,
bit of life admin.
Yeah, life admin. Just stuff that you really don't think is going to affect your training so much. And then your body is telling you the next day that it actually does make quite a difference.
Got a question from Sam Welsford here.
Yeah.
What are your plans for next season, your goals and ambitions?
Yep.
And also, how are you going to build off this season?
I think next year, just staying with Oliver's for the moment, and I'll aim to do a lot more Asian racing with them, I think.
Yep.
We'll get, hopefully Sun Tour as well and that sort of stuff. And goals and ambitions, I'd love to get to Europe eventually some point. So, but I think by doing that, I'll try and get more results in, again, Grafton, the Warney, the big races where you can show that you are good over 6 hours, some more pro level style stuff. And then I'm not sure about Europe or whatever racing this year. I'll see what happens, and with the team, I think last year the team went over and did some Camisas and Belgian racing. So hopefully if we can sort something out there, go over and do that. But I think just definitely use this season as a platform to get more consistently good results. Like, I've had the start of the year, I had a few good results, and then at the end, this second half, I've been more supporting the team. So it's
which you're happy to do when you're in a good situation.
Yeah,
that can change between teams as well. It's like when your team puts the effort into you, it's really exciting for you to be able to give back.
Yeah.
When you get to have the opportunity to go for something like the Grafton and you pull it off, you are really energized to put it back in when you're in a great situation. So if you're happy at Oliver's, I mean, it seems like you're going to have a great season. That's
the thing that's really been the biggest key for me this year, is just being happy racing on the bike, off the bike. Everything's just come together, and I've just enjoyed it all more,
And I know your social environment here in Bathurst has probably been a bit different to Canberra as well. Like, it was more of a situation you're living with people who you knew from being around and knew from class. Here you're kind of living with a couple of your best mates.
In Canberra I was living on campus, so you sort of get thrown in a bit with just random people that you become friends with, but again, just different walks of life, not exactly like this. Whereas this year I've been living with Tom and Brad as well, so definitely, like, every day just go out train with Tom, and then pretty much all I do now, go training, go for a coffee with you guys and catch up with all the boys and all that sort of thing. And and then my girlfriend's moved down here and moved in, so it's all it's a lot more of a home environment now, I guess.
And it must be a lot easier for you to switch off after
Yeah.
training when you're with some mates and you can have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You can unwind and you're not just sort of thinking or stressing about what
Yeah.
you're doing next on the bike. It's kind of a bit easier for you to turn that part of your brain off
Yeah.
and rather than just sitting in your on your campus room and worrying
Yeah.
about why you're not doing this or why you're not going like that.
Exactly. I
sort
think
of finish your ride and get ready for the next one.
that is a big part of it as well. Like especially mentally, that mental fatigue and even physically, you ride, you get home, have a look at your workout, see what you've done, see what you got to do for the next day, and like whatever gym programs you got or whatnot. And then after that, you just check out and just go back to normal human stuff. Take cycling out of your head. Don't stress about it, because that is a big thing. I think stress is like, I've stopped stressing about whether I'll be able to do my workout tomorrow, how tired I'll be, whether I'll be good for these races. I just go out, do what's on my program, enjoy it, come home, and then that's all I can do.
Yeah, and I know talking to a lot of pro athletes or pro cyclists even, it's kind of the last thing they want to talk about. They spend their life on the bike and the last thing they want to talk about is racing. Maybe if something really crazy happened, they want to talk about it, or another race. But when it's about them, I tend to find they'd rather talk about whatever's going on in the news or something about their hometown. Do you find it's like that? Like, you go away to some event and everyone just wants to talk about your riding, and you're kind of like, oh man, I just spent 6 hours on the bike today. I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, like after Tassie this week and Bright, so I've been away for 10 days, out of my home, out of anything like that's normal. So living out of a suitcase and all that, even 10 days isn't really that long when you put it in perspective. But even after that, you just I get home, I haven't ridden for a day other than a couple easy coffee rides, and you just don't want to think about training and racing and stuff. You just put that behind you and just enjoy your day, being stress-free, cycling free for a bit.
Yeah.
We got a big company here. The cat.
The cat's gonna bump the camera around a bit. He's trying to join in on the fun. He's having a good look.
What? No.
Well, we have a bit of a Christmas dinner to get to tonight, so we might leave it there for now and start getting ready for that. But
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining me.
No, thanks for
having me. It's been
me.
great having a chat, and hopefully I'll be streaming again soon. So
sounds good.
All the best for
back whenever you want me.
Yeah, thanks. All the best for your upcoming season and nationals, and all the best to Oliver's Real Food Racing.
Thank you
for another cracker season. Thanks
Sounds
for joining
good.
us.